Hey everybody, welcome to the Canada by Kayak vlog. It is April 2021, which means that Ontario is in a COVID lockdown again. Unfortunately, this means the information that we would normally be sharing in a kayak safety class cannot be shared in a kayak safety class. And yes, there is a 5-person gathering maximum for the outdoors. However, there are 15 million people in this province, which means that I would have to do 3 million kayak safety courses this summer. And I just don't really have time for that. Literally. Which is why we're creating a YouTube video series on how to find some of the resources needed to help you be safe and legal on the water.
You forgot the Canada part, you hoser.
On Canada's waters. In this video specifically, we're going to be looking at how to navigate some of the Canadian government's websites on how to... In this video specifically, we're going to be looking at how to navigate some of the Canadian government's websites in order to understand what is required by law while kayaking. Tim's going to take you through this in a couple of seconds, but first, roll intro. Do we have an intro?
We don't have an intro. Do you want me to make an intro?
Can we make an intro?
Can it be a sea shanty?
I guess.
Way up she rises, way up she rises, way up she rises early in the morning. Way up she rises, way up she rises, way up she rises early in the morning. Way up she rises, way up she rises, way up she rises early in the morning.
In this video, we're going to be talking about the legal requirements of kayaking, and if you look at the map behind me and my Winnipeg Jets t-shirt, you'll probably...
Do you need more coffee?
I do need more coffee. Are you turning it so that we're not showing everybody your company logo?
Yeah.
The Yeti logo is out though.
Yeah.
This video is sponsored by Yeti.
It's not.
Fact check, this video is not sponsored by Yeti. However, if Yeti does want to sponsor this video, we would absolutely accept some Yeti gear for it. Somebody please at Yeti with that. So the purpose of this video is to discuss the legal requirements of kayaking for all the people that are new to kayaking. And as you may have guessed by the giant map in the background and by my Winnipeg Jets t-shirt, this video is tailored towards Canadians because I am Canadian.
Yeti.
At this point in the video, I do want to mention that your safety and legality in a kayak is not going to be determined by you watching this video. It's going to be determined by things like your decision making, your ability, your skill level in a kayak, the type of gear you're carrying, and your preparedness for the environment that you're going to be paddling in. The last little disclaimer that I'll throw into the beginning of this video is that the legal requirements for what you need to carry on the water will change from time to time. So if you're watching this video in the future, we've left you a link to the Transport Canada website. Transport Canada is the governing body for this. I recommend that you go see their website. They are the ultimate authority for this since they're the ones that, can fine you. And they're also the ones that set the rules. So go ahead, check that website out if you're watching this in the future. Just make sure nothing's changed before you hit the water. Okay, so we're actually just going to go ahead and take a look at the legalities right now. This is from the Justice Laws website. This website is where you can find all of the actual laws for what's required. We recommend looking through this because it contains so much good information. However, I do understand that it can be difficult to pick out what exactly we need, and Transport Canada recognized this as well and put these requirements on their page. So this is now the Transport Canada website, and to make things really, really easy to figure out, I also created this safe boating guide. So you can just go ahead and click on that. This is an official Transport Canada document, actually copyrighted to the Queen herself. There's a ton of great information in here, including the rules of the water, what to do in an emergency, and some other stuff here. But what we're focusing on in this video is the safety equipment requirement that will bring us right to page 15. So they have a couple paragraphs here before they actually get to what is required. And there's a few obvious reminders such as wearing your P.F.D, but there's some less obvious ones here that I think are important to highlight. The gear that we're about to talk about, it's not good enough just to have it on board somewhere. It has to be working, accessible, and maintained. The other thing I'd like to highlight is that this is just a general minimum safety equipment required for pleasure craft. And there's also a note here that says you may want to bring more equipment based on your type of boat, your activity, the current forecasted weather, and the water conditions. And this is really, really good advice. So the takeaway from this paragraph is that these legal requirements aren't necessarily the best practice. We're going to elaborate on best practice a little bit later in this video and in future videos as well. For now, I'm just going to scroll down to the next page, and there is actually a chart here which breaks down boat type and length as well as the gear required. And if you look on the second row here, we have a whole row dedicated to kayaks. So what do I need on my kayak? The first is a life jacket or P.F.D for each person on board. Second is a reboarding device, and there's actually a note here. The cool thing about all these notes is that you can just click on them and it brings you to the note in question. So this is note 1, reboarding device. Reboarding device is only required if the vertical height that a person must climb to reboard the boat from the water is over 0.5 meters. That's generally bigger than the freeboard on most kayaks. So a reboarding device probably isn't going to be required, but you might want to double check that for your specific kayak. Next up is item number 3 here, one buoyant heaving line at least 15 meters, which is 49 feet and 3 inches long. So this is a rope that's going to float. Next up is this category here, visual signals. If a boat is over 6 meters, you'll need a watertight flashlight and 6 flares. Most kayaks won't be over 6 meters. Let's actually just go ahead and Google what that is in feet. So that's about 19.685. The length of your kayak should be stated by your manufacturer. That should be something that's very easy to find, but your worst case is you can take a measuring tape to it. So most kayaks won't be over 6 meters, but some doubles kayaks may hit this requirement, so you may want to double check the length of your boat if you're not sure. Next up, under vessel safety equipment here, we have one baler, one manual bilge pump or bilge pumping arrangements. Item 7, one sound signaling device or appliance. That could be something as simple as a whistle. Number 8, navigation lights. Once again, we have another note for navigation lights. So navigation lights are only required if you operate the boat after sunset, before sunrise, or in periods of restricted visibility such as fog or falling snow. So you may or may not need navigation lights depending on what type of paddling you're going to do. Next up, we have item number 9, one magnetic compass. Again, there's a note attached to that, so let's just go ahead and click on that. This is note 5, magnetic compass. So a compass is not required if the boat is 8 meters or less and you operate it within the site of navigation marks. I actually just keep a compass in my P.F.D at all times. It's not that much of a hindrance. It wasn't that expensive, and even if it's not required at the time, I'm less likely to forget it at home if I do need it at some point. Okay, and the last thing on this list is item number 10, one radar reflector. We have a note, that's note 6. Radar reflectors are required for boats under 20 meters and boats built mostly of non-metallic materials. A radar reflector is not required if the boat is used in limited traffic conditions, in daylight, in favorable environmental conditions, and where having a radar reflector is not essential to the boat's safety, or if the small size of the boat or its operation away from radar navigation makes it impossible to install or use a radar reflector. So is this required? The most I'll say on this is that I don't personally paddle with a radar reflector. I believe that the type of paddling I do falls into this. The radar reflector is not essential to the boat's safety. That's for me and the environmental conditions that I personally paddle in. If you are paddling in heavy traffic conditions and less favorable environmental conditions, such as the heavy sea fog out on the west coast, maybe it would be required.
So as we've gotten further into the video creation process, we've realized that this topic would really work better as a series. That said, we're going to cut this one off here. If you really liked what you saw, we would love it if you clicked on like and subscribe. And if there's more kayak content you would like us to explore, please let us know in the comments. We would love to hear from you. Until then, roll an outro. Do we have an outro?
We don't have an outro.
We don't have an outro.
Okay, so I forgot to mention this in the video. We hid 2 hashtags in this video. The first one is Canada by Kayak, and the second one is a special hashtag that we're only going to be using this week. So you can feel free to hashtag your stuff with Canada by Kayak at any time, and we'll share a whole bunch of that content. The other hashtag is a secret hashtag that will be located in our weekly videos. If you tag your kayak content on Instagram with that secret hashtag of the week, we will be resharing a whole bunch of that on Monday morning, and thereby filling your Monday morning with more kayaking. Because we can't fix Monday mornings, but we can fill your Monday mornings with kayaking stuff, and that's about as good as we can do. Because, as far as you know, I'm just a bunch of pixels on the internet. Alright, I'm gonna cut myself off there before this turns into a full-on existential crisis. See you next week.